welcome to the Grim Soul Taker Show. This is not a review because I haven't played it yet, but I got a new game. Organized quiz it. Yeah, you see that. I bought the first one when it first came out. I bought the second one when it first came out. I'm buying this one. I know there's a bunch of YouTubers doing a thing on this. I don't care. Now getting down to the nitty gritty. Now I know Lady Insanity and a bunch of other people saying the best classes to use with what you want to be. Well, I'm going to go page by page telling you what to me is a good idea to use. First off, there's the Rogue. Okay, you got Stealth, Twin Fangs, Stealth, Long Shot. That's dual wielding ability. Start with Stealth, Twin Fangs. Archer starting ability, Stealth, and Long Shot. Okay. Now, you know, we all know that they can pick locks. So if you're gonna have a party member, have a rogue that can pick locks. Because the best stuff's in the chests that aren't locked. Okay. Rogue abilities, Double Dagger, Archery. Your two choices. Sabotage, Subterfuge, Artifacture, and Assassin. And then there is another one, Tempest. Basically your chemicals and stuff like that. Okay, here is where I separate myself from everybody else because I've used a rogue. I'm going to tell you, if you're using dual daggers, and you're just dual daggering, you want to get Sabotage. Because you can poison, you can infect wounds, and you get tread lightly. But you want poisoning and inflicting wounds. Why do I say that? You make your opponent bleed. You want on a big opponent, you want all the status effects you can get on it. Personally, in my opinion, that's what you want. You also want to go to Subterfuge because of the stealthiness and all that, because of the dodging abilities. But I wouldn't go too far into it, because some of them just won't work. Artifacture, basically you set up traps. If you want to do that, then my suggestion is you go with the Archery class because you set traps. That way you can set up a line of traps and have that your opponent go down, or if you're in a tight corridor, have your opponent go down that tight corridor and they're in traps. And you can shoot all the arrows you want at them. They'll go down. That's my personal opinion. That's what I've done in Dragon Age games before. Because I have played a rogue, I haven't played a mage, so I'm not going to get into that. I'll get into warrior and rogue class. I'm not going to get into mage classes because I know nothing about it. I'm doing what I know about, so thus I'm better at giving information about the classes I do and the classes I don't mess with. Okay? I'll give suggestions on the mage class, but those suggestions. Personally, from what I've played with, this is what you want in these classes. Like I said, if you're going dual daggers, it's best if you want to go completely mostly damage. If you're going dual daggers only. Subterfuge, you want Subterfuge on your rogue. Your double daggers, you want Subterfuge on it. You want a lot of the sneaking stuff. You want to go down that tree. And then you want to go down the Assassin's tree if you want to do a lot of damage. This will do a lot of damage under cover. You won't have to worry about breaking your cover when you attack. The thing is that some of these do have some cooldowns, like Overkill cooldown reduces 4 seconds, additional 3 hits. You're doing more damage. And Tempest, if you want to go down to Tempest Tree, that's more of a, you're throwing bottles and stuff at people. But it allows you to hold more. If you get Flask, you hold more bottles, so I'm guessing you'll be able to hold more potions or something, I don't know. But if you want to go down that tree, go ahead. It's more like a chemist type deal. But I believe you make poisons. I'm not sure if you can put them on your weapon or not. It doesn't say. Most things are just reducing, duration 5 seconds for fire flask. 5 seconds. And a video game is a lot of time. But some of them have shorter ranges, so be careful you go down that tree. Sabotage, like I said, if you're going with a rogue with dual daggers or archery, you want to go down the sabotage tree because you'll stop people from getting to you. Subterfuge as well. Some of the abilities I wouldn't take. I'd take a few of them. I'm looking at them and I'm reading them as I look, and I'd just take a few of them out of each tree because some of them aren't going to affect certain opponents. Mostly human opponents. A dual dagger person's best on people, not on a dragon. You don't want to do things on a dragon. The dragon's not going to get caught in a trap unless you put up a big trap. They're best for people. So if you do that, remember going to the archery tree as well, because archery seems to be a good deal. But either way, go down the sabotage tree and do some of the subterfuge. Don't go completely down subterfuge either. This one side of it at least. And assassin, like I said, if you're going dual dagger, do assassin, because you do a lot of damage that way. I did it, and I've mercifully killed things left and right. But if you're going down the archery tree, go down the artificer tree. That way you can set up traps and stuff like that, mines and such, in front of your enemy, and they'll take a lot of damage from it. It's all about, with the rogue class, it's all about DPS, and like I said, in my opinion, it was all about the status effects you could put on your opponent. You're more of a helper than a damage dealer at certain points. Going down my favorite tree, the warrior, two-handed, mighty blow, war cry. Which if you are a two-hander, you don't want war cry, because you're a DPS. Unless you got your DPS with heavy armor, he ain't gonna do a lot of damage. I mean, he's gonna get took out. And weapon and shield starting abilities is Payback, Strike, and War Cry. They both start off with War Cry. For your DPS, I suggest you don't use War Cry if you're two-hander. But Payback, Strike, oh, that's pretty good. But for Warrior, specialization is Champion and Reaver and Templar. See, I know the Assassin's got more. Well, the Rogue's got more. Oh no, they got the same. Looking at something wrong. Okay, for warrior abilities. Okay, for the sword and board. I prefer to call it sword and board. You got shield wall. You want that. I wouldn't do Warrior's Resolve because you lose health, but you gain stamina, and it don't matter a day. It don't matter if you got all the stamina in the world. If you ain't got no life left, it ain't gonna matter. You're dead. So, no, don't go down that route unless you want to get tore up. Shield Bash, yes, get Shield Bash because you got an opponent. If you got a tougher opponent, it can stagger your opponent. That's what I got. I love staggering the opponents. I love just bashing them with the shield, and then while they're stunned, taking, having my DPS or me doing it myself and just whooping that, And there's Bear Maws, the wolves. It keeps you from being flanked by your enemies. It was called something else, but you can't be flanked by your enemies, and it's hard. You're less likely to be staggered when you take a heavy blow. That's a good one. Basically, this whole left side of the screen is good. Left side of the tree, from what I'm looking at, is the left side of me. Okay, then there's Shield Cavalier, which is the second part of Shield Wall. Get that too because it makes you move faster with Shield Wall up. You're less likely to move slow. Sweet Revenge, it'd be a good one to take because you do more damage if it's Payback Strike, like you're hitting an enemy that hits you, and you do more damage to taunted enemies too. So it's all about survivability and as a tank. Turn the bolt. Basically, you're less likely to be hurt by ranged attacks, which is great. Great Lunge, you do more damage. That's another one I'd do. I just wouldn't do, the one I wouldn't do would be the middle one, because if I ain't got health, I ain't gonna attack. And that means if you heal up, you ain't gonna get a stamina boost. So, no. Okay. Okay, Warrior, you're gonna probably basically want everything on that Shield Breaker included. Shield Breaker being the best thing you can get. But the most of these go with shield with attacking a group of enemies. Like shattering Earth Strike. Your great blows tear open your ground with shockwaves. Damage 100%. Well, a lot of it makes your weapon do more damage. So you're a DPS. Stick to DPS. Don't if you got that. You can go to tank, but you're dead. You're quickly killed because you're doing mainly damage. And for Warrior, Shield, Sword and Board, don't go down to Battle Master because it's more of a DPS tree. If you do go down that, I suggest you get Crippling Blow, Coup de Grace, and Horn of Valor. That way you can get War Horn. And then you go to Break Their Spirits. And row with it. No, combat row. But it's mostly about scaring your enemy is what two-hander would be good with. That'd be good with two-hander. Now, Vanguard is good for tanking, in my opinion, because you get call to arms, throw the gauntlet challenge. Basically, it's about taking your enemy and just taunting the flip out of them, and that it'll cost you any foe that attacks you in melee is going to bleed from it, taking portion of their damage they inflict. Unbowed further improves your guard. For each nearby enemy gives you the strength to stay on your feet. Reduces, stagger. I suggest if you're going down that tree, go down the left side. Vanguard's good for basically the tank tree or the DPS tree. And there's Champion, which is mostly tanking, putting statuses on your friends. So my suggestion is that if you're going down the Vanguard tree, you also go down the Champion tree, because they're basically the opposite. One does damage to your opponent while giving you abilities. The other one gives you more sustainability. But if you're going down that tree, you're going to need lion sand and no further. Relentlessness, you don't flinch, you don't blink, you don't back down enemies that hit you with melee attacks or staggered out of the recoil. So that would go good with, say, Untouchable. Or Untouchable. Because they can't kill what they can't hit, you gain a bonus to your maximum guard. And you don't flinch, blink, you don't back down, enemies hit you melee attacks or staggered by recoil. Instead of Untouchable, but it'll also go good with, it'll cost you. It'll go great with, it'll cost you because they do damage. As they do damage to you, they're getting hurt by a portion of their life. So Relentless and that will do great together. But you gotta go down the same tree, so still standing. Further improves your guard for each nearby enemy, giving you the strength to stay on your feet. Relentless does the same thing. So basically you get 100% guard generation, but if you do Relentless too, stun chance, stun duration 2 seconds, constitution on unlock 3%. See, these things work together if you want to be a true tank. Now, if you want to be a DPS, like I said, the DPS's opinion are Reaver and Battlemaster. Now, everybody knows what Reaver is, so I'm not going to get into that. But if you want to be a true DPS, Reaver and Vanguard are the two. Reaver and Battlemaster are the two you want to go down. Now, Templar being the last one is more of a magic stopping ability, but it's more like a sacrificial thing. You can do a ton of damage, so it is also a DPS thing, but it's more of a DPS than tank thing. But I'm not going to get into the mage thing. This video's gone too long, so. But yeah, those are my suggestions from a person who's played the game more than once, figuring out what would work best, instead of a person who's played through it once or multiple times and going the same route over and over again and not figuring anything out. Sorry, Ladies Insanity, I'm calling you out on that. So, yeah, if you want to reply, this will be posted on my YouTube account. I'm subscribed to you, so I'm calling you out. You should have done more on the warrior thing. Less on the mage, less on the rogue. You should have done more on the warrior thing, and think about that, because 1 minute and 38 seconds is not enough time on a warrior. So, yeah, do more research, Lady Insanity. I'm calling you out. Give me something better than what you did. This is Grim Soul Taker saying good night, good luck, and peace out, my brothers.